stand by any chance? Like,
Oh.
like a single leg?
Yeah. And let me just find the one that works. Oh. I think it should work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Plan. The United States ought to substantially reduce its military presence in the Republic of Turkey. Advantage 1 is Russia. Turkish tactical news house. Washington calculated first price that causes rapid escalation and all at wartime 16. During wartime, Petra peace that is likely to defend away so will go on detectors, topics, so let's monitor flying in nuclear fighter during crisis in Moscow. Intent to use nuclear weapons fighting first, so the US may be trying to reach NATO, all of Russia could use the launch missile for the Black Sea Mediterranean region, so minutes American state to forward to deploy dual capable aircraft could be interpreted as a precursor to first price. Specifically, pick up and drop postures are worse for deterrence to Russian preemption that's unique to Turkey's time 16. B61 debates failed to account for a pick up and drop approach to nuclear posture Turkey about the first strike and undefined determination. Boston Swiss and Sword never case. The Turkey host nation as aircraft Turkey decertifies pilots would allow the U.S. to carry bombs to U.S. military stations waiting in Turkey. The risk is high now. Ukraine indicating Russian early warning infrastructure makes accidental escalation likely. Schindler 22. Putin outside nuclear Russian since our days vulnerable areas. The risk is not a mistake. More likely to appear to high intention leaders. Have minutes make decision ambiguities since our called the one nation visit over best such as and training assigns Russians black out of monitor. They would table and dangerous check for a shortfall. Russian war causes extinction. Con Barrett 17. All nuclear war between U.S. and Russia after 9 wars make it possible to go free. Extinction is all possible between the U.S. and Russia. 90% of weapons regional nuclear war unlikely to lead to extinction. Advantage 2 is revisionism. Turkish revisionism as an existential threat to the liberal order. Erdogan's policy will destabilize the Mediterranean and make war inevitable to Yaros 12-7. Two key takeaways Erdogan says persistence towards authoritarianism, surge in nationalism occurred. The next phase of operational dynamics of manipulation, patient challenging road ahead is to make include distinct strategic tactical adjustments as strategic goals. Erdogan's vision implied challenge Western North democracy and peace. The century Turkey hubs the Turkish challenge local order. NATO and the EU continue collaboration temper by desire to maintain control and discourage Eurasian fears of Palestine to state for tension, crisis, and instability. The world is not going to transition post American order specific nature remains unclear. Alliance collapse is inevitable. Turkey is already pursuing security agreements with Russia and enabling extremism element 1-5. Under Erdogan, religion has been driven off the cliff no longer now accused of China Russia purchase as for enable extremist force and zero launch airstrikes and targets all American citizens as hostages that refuse sanctions destined for illicit foe support from us. Private office space granting passports uses based on procure funds. The plan is key. Erdogan using military presence as bargaining chip emboldening Russia. Constant 23. Remind Erdogan Alice can be pushed to Warsaw votes around forcing until standing up to less place by Erdogan's base to challenge is bestering Russia. These prove that Western resolve is crumbling. We should mind Turkey no members indispensable. It's Turkey's less important than Greece and Romania. Primary flash from Turkish standing use operations pursue cooperation without insular gloomy. There's precedent for coalition can wait for cooperation. Philippines, Iceland, Prime Minister news that Turkey would allow Russia based on There are draws in France, Israel, and Egypt that escalated to blockers in 20. It's Turkey's policy in the Middle East and Africa. Erdogan targets the Aegean, the Mediterranean, Black Sea. Turkey's at odds with its allies. Erdogan's used relation with NATO domestic expansion, move tender boxes. A threat competition will lead to blockade of Istanbul. The Suez of concern to oil and gas trade. NATO's images tarnishing competition between Turkey and Spencer. Egypt is still known for unthinkable. Israel drawing goes nuclear. Farley 20. Origins of Israel and nuclear program limit the field of states develop military advantage. No question is will consider use of a balanced out of signals of all hostile between Israel and more tall and neighbor. Turkish policy must shift in a negative direction. Nuclear weapons being part of the toolkit framing. Use comparative worlds. 1. It's real world. Ethical judgments are relevant only in terms of how they impact the world. 2. Is topic education. Force them to disagree with the plan. Requires research about the topic. Only unique impact to topic rotation. 3 is advocacy. Force them to defend an alternative vision of the world. The standard is maximize the expected well-being. To clarify that's hedonistic act util. Uncertainty and social conduct require that governments use util good 95. Official makes percent under certain private individual and more complete information. Official typically know aggregates will help most often people as a result of choices that is enough to allow util to use on rules knowing aggregates they can calculate utility payoffs. Neuroscience proves non-youthful ethics are impossible. Green 10. Turn of the millennium size autonomy human moral judgments not perceived rational enterprise judgments are shaped by evolutionary forces biological and cultural seen unlikely there's any current no more moral theory that can accommodate moral intuition. Deontologists define deontology in terms of values that are not dissimilar deontological cause which are against treating people immune privileged mere objects counting every person's well-being. The decision-making process active according to reasons that rational creature can share our principles deontological and tautological instances don't really explain anything. There seems to be something deeply right about them because they give voice to powerful moral emotion. But as many religious people because they don't really explain what's distinctive about the philosophy in question. Extinction outweighs under any framework moral uncertainty in future generations. Number 15. Reducing existential risk is the most important threshold to control future people, even if the well-being were given 0.001% weight. Non-consequentialism is not that the latter doesn't matter. Minimal political version of data and virtues must be considered with providing the good apply strong reasons to reduce existential risk, even if they were 90% sure they would have reason for low uncertainty to reduce existential risk. Predictions are possible and useful. Meteor Schreiber in 1. Political forecasting is not to include error despite hazard. Social scientists should use theories to make predictions. Trying to anticipate events is a good way to test because the theories because theorists do not have hindsight. Existential thoughts are truly universal. If our often says that all credible, it's a side constraint. Zimmer 22. Beings initiate processes that universally impinge on the survival of all human beings, even all complex life remains necessary to treat universal science as screening the power to life itself, things that thinkers should not be too hasty concluding many wants to cheat, or that claims universality or concerned about the future of whiteness, that all living human beings source and continue universalism, this being theorists must directly address being forms and non-humanist universalism, that refers alongside imminentization of the apocalypse. Existential risk framing is valuable research practice. Catastrophic risks are systematically underestimated. Jaworski, 18. Extinction needs a marketing department. Experts at Oxford estimate the risk of human extinction with 1 in 10 of the most probable culprits are anthropogenic risks. These include nuclear disaster. The big part of the problem is lack of awareness about the real threats to face when estimate the chance of extinction to adults were 1 in 10 million. And awareness to engage should extend to the academic community, where the bottleneck is lack of talented people studying existential risk developing. Risk mitigation strategies will crisis engagement with conservative efforts. There's an urgent need to improve communication with the magnitude of existential risks. I'm good for cross.
Okay. Okay, the framework, Extinction outweighs under every framework.
Yes.
Okay, under your framework is there an active distinction?
Probably not, no.
So there's no active distinction, why?
Because in the context of government specifically, not taking an action is equivalent to voting no on an action. For example, if there's a policy being proposed to reduce military presence in Congress, if the government does nothing, that's equivalent to voting no. So
Okay,
so
there is an active mission distinction.
There is no active mission distinction.
Okay, so there is no active mission distinction.
Yes.
Okay, under your framework. Okay, cool. You say, okay, wait, let's go to the Russia advantage. You say that Turkish tactical nukes cause miscalculation. What's the warrant?
The warrant is that because nukes are in close proximity to Moscow, every time the U.S. flies a fighter wing over Incirlik in a time of crisis, Russia could misinterpret that as an attempt to pick up the bombs to drop them on Russia, which causes rapid escalation and first strikes from Russia.
Okay, wait. Your evidence says that in the Mediterranean there would be a hypothetical scenario. So why is it just? Yeah, so
it's not hypothetical because Turkey has already started expanding into the eastern Mediterranean. They've started expanding to places like Syria, Greece, etc. Our argument is that that would draw in countries like Israel, France, and NATO more broadly, which causes escalation, and our evidence directly cites it as, quote, a tinderbox.
Okay, sure. The Stein 16 evidence, it just says that it would undermine deterrence and lead to first strike, but what's the warrant?
It's like literally exactly what I said at the start. That is the warrant.
Sure, the impacts of the advantage, is it only nuke war?
Well, like, there's multiple impacts. The terminal, I guess, is like extinction from nuclear war, sure.
Okay, so the way you get to extinction is through nuclear war?
Sure.
Okay, sure. The green evidence, you says that it says that neuroscience proves non-util ethics are impossible. Where's the warrant on, like, why it says that they're impossible and why util is possible?
They're impossible because the point of philosophy is to guide action, and the green evidence says that neuroscientifically, humans act to maximize pleasure and prevent pain, specifically because evolution and natural selection...
So evolution shapes your framework, is that what you're saying?
It doesn't shape our framework, it is one justification for why util is true. We've given like 5 other ones. So
okay, wait, what are the other ones? It just says the other ones I see are just extinction outweighs and actor spec.
There's actor spec, there's extinction outweighs, the Mearsheimer evidence says that predictions are necessary in the context of government policies.
Okay, wait, why does that justify
util
though? Why does that justify util?
Oh, it justifies consequentialism, and util is like the most important form of consequentialism because, again, everything regresses to pain and pleasure.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's cross. I'll start running pressing now. Okay, stop right there. 426 left. I'll send the doc. It's gonna be for the case. Case starts on framework, then the advantage. There's an impact turn on advantage, so if you want to fill that on a separate sheet, then you can. Okay, should be sent.
Good. Okay. Interpretation of the affirmative defense, hedonistic consequentialism, they must explicitly delineate which theory of hedonistic pleasure they defend in the text on the ACP election. They don't maximize well-being doesn't cut out IP. Interest proving a different notions of pleasure varieties of hedonism, multiple degrees of aspects of pleasure are valuable for well-being. Quantitative hedonists argue how valuable pleasure depends on duration and intensity. Qualitative hedonists argue more dimensions can have impact. Hedonists have different views about how the value of pleasure compares with the values of pain. Another area is whether pleasure is entirely internal of it includes external elements. Standards one shiftiness they can shift out. And my transparency whatever theory they operate under the nature of vague standards, especially true because of warrants for their standard could justify different versions of hedonism as coming first. I want to know until the one error, which is the maximum multiple condition standards. Second strat. I lose 6 minutes of the time during the AC to generate strategy because I don't know what terms of strategy I can go for during the one absent, which proves that cross-position traces and would occur after seeing no spec readings of legends and also conceded no commission distinction in cross means that they should be held responsible for an action died the spec shell, and you definitely could have met the shell parents of it or AL pursuing fair evaluation BCUs evaluation of substance possible C debate is activity which cross parents drop the rate or one transfer runs reading these patches in the future. This is not worth in large ski which is key norm setting and full practice die out 2 times scale otherwise you read a bunch of views of practice sometimes after competing in terms of one who's the occurs of race and margin one counts sufficiently favorites and as much as be possible between norm setting occurs most of the debating communal walls and communal walls are one who's is good theory debates lose on a shell is good on debating and sometimes people do views and script counters and whether RBI which exists as a bad norm 3 first debaters argue for bad practice even they realize that terms of skill substance debate and norm settings as we have bad theory debates around use a norm setting model once we'll learn to be sports and reviews only matters one at a time to use as best cases and encourage cheap reflection debate about what the best world looks like and strive towards it. One see there are always one lexicality the next reaction after use of change to one setting one theory can have syndromes to selling it one speech so we can't fully build the debate a second shell. Interpretation debaters must have only one potential stated that at any point the ranking function is a mechanism for providing opposite clarify they may now claim that a specific impact transcends their standards the biggest impact under any standard violation the read instead extinction always under affirming clash extinction first arguments encourage erase the modern because any time spent on a case could be more effective by getting a 0.01% greater risk of an impact extinction that kills classroom source instead for spill debates and substantive arguments that exchange debates are always more strategic classroom standard debate are key to the unique educational benefits of LD also creates one burden on substances after win both while you're affirming is multiple extinction does not wait on your affirming to win but you only have to win one education but comes after fairness is the stated goal of debate to make us better students of fairness shapes how we have education on the NC moral skepticism is true one more argument for evolution much 18 not to support capacities of moral judgment does not require the morality be evolutionary advantageous evolution aid on a process of reliable after humans are heard does make moral judgment regardless of the evidence individuals more fit it is ours to help ourselves but otherwise sense of requirement the strengths of motivation moral beliefs are best and justified also takes out the usual affirming because it says that evolution so that shapes reliability not moral truths and second holability ethics must hold using holdables otherwise we cannot be responsible for moral and doing so they correct external rules and will help regardless of whether we advise against the power willing fails agents that control myself reproduce the molecules must be the laws of fixed the urines molecules are bringing up the property of genes and environment you must come down to molecules for your goal crisis some must step outside of a brain structure we are simply constant for brain 3 attempts to establish justice are violated their creation due to failure because it is named to World Baker 1996 any first any justice decision have to be unique which no existing rule can guarantee absolutely false there's no never moment that we say in the percent of the decisions just like a decision that didn't go through the ordeal of the indecidable world but it will not be a free decision only be that of holding up the calculator process but the version never does is practice the horizon of knowledge justice is that which one must not wait just decisions always required immediately just decision must run time and divide out like this paradox before induction fails others case we can predict this situation or piano we can as far as situations ever replicate exactly if you can there's no guarantee that outcome will be the same if you can't predict situations that means everyone can which means we all predict each other making a paradox action as far as we always attempt to break the outcomes of each other's action cancel out the obvious prediction fails doesn't take this out because about how nature will hold uniform from the future and skeptical conclusion make true triggers permissibility denies that moral obligations exist that negates once a solid defined expression obligation which means have some practical obligation but next is trigonometry or prohibition obligation purposely improving one to other makes obligation particularly since you're based on the wording of the recipe and be considered the rules of the basis just obligated but on those text you say because at least saver because themselves we know this knows we can't know whether that will be good or not if the center incorrect skip the third one for now truth testing the role of the balance for the barrier crucial truth falsity the resolution all means moral obligation that was above once because it's such a reserve on the balance for means for truth means for false be running every argument because the ability of truth is just your own truth this possible justification must be rewritten as it is true that X always age restriction judges contracted by other central laws says here we even truth testing is translated to speech times and declaring winners means the judges have the authority to change one of the rules once they get into the round be controls and trilling to provide these rules of basis particularly in prep even another model debate here but we be preferable as controlling term of the fact we operate in assumptions follow to us for Marxism truth as opposed to binary decision calculus careers and mandatory body decision but after also prevents restriction by the extent which is concerned how true the arguments are the real or preference of for certain scalar weighing arguments interventions intrinsic impacts the obligation of the judges to remain as unbiased as possible and supports permanent fairness since it takes around either greatest control on case for some compared rules on the first one A is on unique and so you can just read useful under truth doesn't be is B point justified in order to ethical judgments comes prior which requires truth is proven moral obligation in the first place on the second point A is on unique because you can still prove truth and falsity through a designer policy after you kills spell education saying we have moral obligation to us useless so they can't answer why moral obligations don't exist in the first place on the 3.A nothing as forces us to read an alternate comparative worlds media means we're not actually advocating for it all necessarily because truth doesn't best for ethics skills on all issues it's not just about comparing worlds but advocating for truth in every instance in every argument on the framework usual triggers permissibility skip the first one for now you Two useful to validate essays, not the way to achieve those essays, but if that way of obtaining an end is through an action useful, ignores action taken cares only about the essays, so technically any action is permissible under useful because it wouldn't condemn the action, wouldn't condemn that, and then that action until it's on the limelight. First trigger Skep. Governments already just can take action. Second, it's not valid. Just because governments use useful doesn't mean they ought to. On the green evidence, first conceding non-useful ethics impossible means to merely question why useful ethics are possible. Second, doesn't warrant why useful is possible when should be answered evolution. It doesn't shape ethics. That was one of them. Which should get page. Third, new science means determinism. That's coin, which means that it still triggers determinism. The primary still triggers determinism. On primary first is impact justified. The reason extinction has to be prevents utility, but that presumes utilitarian calculus. Second, extinction not impact on primary. There's an obligation towards extinction that assumes episcopal modesty will use confidence, irresolvability, modesty, in career debates. We can't consider the probability of her being true. It's impossible without action. We have to consider every possibly correct ethical framework. Get the C point for now. Smart. Current civilization makes extinction inevitable. Two warrants one additional society is too much to handle by shells. What's going on? Humanity's causing rapid loss of Earth's ability to support life. Terrestrial vegetation on half of freshwater marine environments have been damaged. Extinction rates are over 15 times the background every year. We are only at the head of 60 major extinctions. Also, scientifically undeniable. Population size continue to grow. Implicated many food problems. Slow degradation, environmental diversity loss. Two super intelligence and inevitable locks in universe destruction. Middle 18. AGI used to make package software package changes this level. Workers result from beyond super intelligence. Super intelligence. Instrumental goal for the goals humanity existence rival. Values the package that maximizes stress with dark already account using atoms to make chess hardware. Package had abilities and intelligence appear. We can unambitious. We can solve this person nuclear war promotes AI and nanotech research. Problem here at 18. Link between nuclear war and general production society shifting working on technologies such as artificial intelligence and nanotechnology simplified would be the whole work. This would reduce the risk of harm. Two, can't rebuild the industrial civilization until 17. Civilization cannot be rebuilt. It's just one time experiment because also the pre-residence coal oil. Words on a species make the time development hit a wall and it's not arable. Colors are particular societies will not be will not develop fast enough rebuilding. It will take thousands of years. Civilization will not have knowledge anymore. And we won't go looking for nukes. So one is worst case 100,000 lives 20. Even close to nuclear change likely cause communication under robotic populations in equatorial regions farming still possible probability was 100,000 humans are capable of surviving far more severe climate change. Evidence like a low range source of food exists will be protecting food providing food for years. Keep the 100 density. Drop discovery models of the rest of the regions. Risk east hyper required trades uncertainties. Represent every example assumptions include cooling was unlikely or cooling was unlikely. War plans are unaware. Quarries and trading plans. Winter results in the city not burning on military progress. Skip the second card for now. The third is isolated real populations repopulate attrition grade 18. Different islands provide natural diversity computer protection in quarantine islands sufficiently remote northern aboriginal people have adapted to cold and dangerous environments. Different return to rural naturally the rest of the world could be repopulated to tropical islands around nuclear winter. These islands surrounded by warm and local volcanoes and provide heat energy through remote island base. Surviving nuclear submarines, stocking islands and these island refuges strengthening bunkers, water, cooling, oxygen, and food. And quickly back to the truth testing page. We exclude linguistical and logical operators. We say that odd is a moral obligation, and obviously proving linguistic truth or logical truth doesn't prove or deny a moral obligation.
Where'd you mark the Turchin card?
I read the entire Turchin card. I just didn't read the Rodriguez evidence.
Okay. Good for cross.
Yeah.
Truth testing, does it take out theory?
No.
Okay. Spec util, we explicitly said it's hedonistic act util. How is that not specifying?
Well, it's not specifying a type of hedonism. The IEP evidence gives you examples of the different types of hedonism that are available.
Wait, that's
and
false.
We'd say that
The Maston evidence, wait, you didn't read IEP. The Maston evidence describes hedonism, epicureanism, asceticism.
Oh, wait.
And says hedonism is one of those. We've said hedonism.
Oh, we read the IEP evidence.
Okay, then the doc you sent is wrong.
Really?
Also, the second off wasn't in the doc.
I swear I sent TOC R1 to respond. Oh, wait.
You did, but the second, extinction shell was also not there. I assumed you were just, gonna accept it, but...
Here, wait. I just sent another copy. I mean, I'm sorry. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Doc. You can check the email.
Okay. Can I pause?
Yeah.
Pause with it.
Wait, see, it says, I sent the same doc, but it's just,
Okay, let me open it. Alright, this also has Maston.
But wait, you can look at my computer. It's that. This is the IP evidence, and then I sent
Wait,
the
is this
doc.
just me, or does your doc also not have this?
Yeah, my doc also doesn't have that.
Okay, so then it's just I just sent it again to see if it works.
Let's see.
I swear I'm sending the same name. It just on my computer.
Same exact
Yeah.
thing.
Okay, wait. I'll just send it in the body of an email.
The whole thing.
Oh no, it's just the stuff that was read.
Okay.
Are you sure you saved it?
It says saved on my computer. You can go look.
I mean,
Wait,
checking.
TOC R1 versus Ange, it says it's saved, and then I sent it popped up. You know how in the recent emails and the recently docked open docs, it said I opened it, which is correct, and then I don't know, just this is the okay. I'm hoping this is the only difference between the docs, but okay. I'm pass back. The okay. So what ground do you lose by our inability to like spec exactly the type of hedonism?
Yeah, we say that we would lose like certain hijacks, for example, like a sentimentalism hijack in theory would make more sense under like qualitative hedonism. Second, the shiftiness step says that
why is that ground important? Like even if there's some minor loss of ground, like you get to read one less a priori or something. Why is that?
I mean, a hijack's not an a priori, but like we would say that's still a loss of ground, which means that proves
so
some sort of abuse on the
tiny
shell.
loss of ground is sufficient to drop the af for not sufficiently specifying.
I mean, what? We just say that it loses us neg ground in some way, which means that you should drop the debater. Also, there's also two other arguments in standards.
The second shell about only one potential standard. We only have one standard. Is the violation that we said extinction outweighs or what?
Yeah, you said extinction outweighs under any framework, which is per the 1AC text.
Wait, okay, but the intertext says must only have one potential standard. Extinction outweighs is not a standard.
You said extinction outweighs means that it outweighs under anything. Means it's a side constraint, another standard to meet.
Extinction outweighs is not a standard though. We only have one standard that we see.
The interpretation text specifically says that they may not.
Okay, why does that apply to every single hijack? For example, you yourself have said hijacks like determinism hijacks, etc., which says that you apply to some other framework too.
Wait, you didn't read a determinism hijack, but at the same time, the standard is what?
Right after the green argument.
The argument was just the argument from the NC that we read answers your green argument because it proves that our neuroscience.
Skep NC, this evolution card, what is the argument? Like why does this prove Skep?
Basically the argument is that evolutionary ethics does not prove moral truth, rather it just proves that what is most survivable in any instance, i.e. that you can't shape moral truth from...
so it's just like in Isaac.
Yeah.
Okay. Culpability. Why does util prevent why does util mean we can't hold people culpable?
The argument from Coin means that basically our brains are
so this is determinism. This is literally determinism. So
but it's an argument for skepticism, true, proving that obligations are impossible to exist.
Okay, start. I have 152. I'll send dot. Should be sent. The order is case. Then the spec util page. Then the extinction like framing page. Then truth testing. Then the NC. In cases, I guess like advantage then framing.
Just got it on opening.
Okay, everyone good? Okay. Nuclear war causing extinction was limited Edward 17th to manifest nuclear fate from atomic studies using improved models would inhibit photosynthesis and cause those came in ecological disruption. The effect would be similar to giant meteor responsibility stations of dinosaurs would be decided for trouble as control. Their future as like exchange would stay limited. Their evidence assumes limited scale nuclear war does not assume US Russia war, which has the largest arsenals in the world. The AI scenario it's hypothetical. Their evidence is impossible to predict this stuff. It's talking about chess robots, which is not sufficient to cause extinction. At best, it's too far out, which means that time frame frames develop because nuclear war happens now because they drop the scenario, which is that it massively outweighs the time frame. Even if there's some magnitude differential, no AI impact gas in 15 Boston parties might be apocalyptic. The exporting claim because exporting evidence is research circle to create much intelligence and all they learned intelligence more difficult than it's better grows and Chris Howard Boston those discarded assumptions that all limitations should always diminish returns the power data to hold us for all on top of the race to solve machines or go see exactly the nuke board as it solves AI stuff is irrelevant because it causes extinction in the process and independently even if industrial society would not be able to recover the value to life impact would massively under utilitarianism because it means that we live under radiation etc which causes massive amounts of suffering. No extinction, yes extinction. Again, this 1 in 100,000 evidence is based on past examples which does not assume US nuclear capabilities. The islands repopulate argument is wrong because it has the climatic effects, destroys the ozone layer, which affects them. In the framework debate, most of this will be done on the NC itself. Actor spec means that determinism and all of the Skep arguments are wrong because even if moral statements are possible in the context of individuals, they are possible in the statement of governments because every action harms some and benefits others. Independently, even if they win skepticism, you should reject it because we should act as if moral statements are possible. Anything else would justify genocide, racism, etc., which is a decision rule, and you should reject it. The util triggers permissibility arguments. This this argument about end states is wrong. This is just a description of deontology. No reason why we have to describe the action because the only thing that is relevant is the consequences of the action. The is-OCAP will be answered on the other page, but no is-OCAP because we could describe the from the is the green evidence not going for it. Determinism will be answered on the other page. Spec util we said he this util proves this is arbitrary counter to the option not to specify past solution will defend the violation. One infinite regress signature is arbitrary not based on words the topic which justifies the time to specify infinite additional things like the action of the plan how to weigh the standard etc. Which means the infinite 6-minute specification means that you should reject non-resolutional theory which applies to the other page. 2 net ground asshole pick the most arbitrary framework like hedonist util that minimizes nuclear war etc. 3 cross-X checks will clarify standards only a few words and ambiguous which means that impacts inevitable. 4 no had to fill out topic oasis is most reward. 5 reading cards contextualizes it they can read their own framing impact. 6 reasonability good is good enough. Pediatrics creates a race to top. Independently use the broad line of in-right abuse which answers arbitrariness. The extinction outweighs shall most of the arguments above apply. There's no reason why saying extinction outweighs is bad because they can just answer the argument which means that there's no infinite abuse. And independently this applies to all hijacks because all hijacks are in the context of multiple framers too which means that they're impeded inevitable. Key to philosophical education because it discusses the interactions of different arguments. The truth testing page use comparative worlds. 1 response to prevents infinite tricky nips explodes an XI bias. This was dropped. It turns their fairness offense which is voting issue. 2 topic education forces them to sue the plan guys research about the topic also functionally outweighs all of the offense because education is the only portable impact to topic rotation whereas jurisdiction is disproven by the fact that judges voted for Nazi apps all the time. It also classes because truth is proven if it's better than other worlds. The Skep 1 no, evolution is wrong. No is OCAP because you know that death and pain are bad via the experience of them so you can derive an ought from experiences. 2 we did not say util is true only because people use it. We said that evolution proves that pain is intrinsic badness so it's important to limit it which is the usual does work. The free will argument culpability is wrong. Even if we can't control actions we can still say that someone is culpable for the consequences. Anything else would justify genocide which is a reason to drop them. Science is not just free will. Ignore scientific free will. That's not the case but even if taking denials profound disturbing implications people are little more than kettlebells. So in the case that the form of determinism is erroneous. The interpretation of your research for the card of research induction. Deduction is equally circular. The only reason we know it works is through deduction. Even if it's possible that we can't 100% prove that it works, if we conclude therefore we should act like it does work because anything else would cause irresponsibility means that we logically don't know that shooting someone would result in the death of the no one doing it. Permissibility affirms more often true than False, because you believe me when I say that my name is when you believe me that I say that my name is honest. The attempts to establish justice are due because good is atemporal. This is wrong because goodness is intrinsic. We can use things like body counts, etc., to aggregate, because we know that on balance, life is a decision of goodness, which means that even if the win aggregation is hard, it is not impossible. Which means that in order to vote on permissibility or presumption, they have to win a literal 0% race, which means that you should use Pascal's wager on all of the skepticism offense, because if they're right, then there's no DA to acting as if they're wrong. But if they are wrong, there's a massive DA, because it would cause genocides, racism, etc. out in the real world, which means that even if they win Skep, it might be true in a vacuum that just Whose calculation is hard but not impossible.
Okay, prep starting now. Wait. Now. Only voting issue was truth testing justifying nibs.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I guess like the racism, genocide stuff, but.
Arguments on Skep was just that you line by line everything and then said permissibility affirms and that use Pascal's wager.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other guys?
No.
What was the warrant for comparative rules? Just topic education and non-TFs?
Reciprocity, topic education, education outweighs, non-TS disparate jurisdiction.
Alright. It's just gonna go. Wait, where's this? Order's just gonna go on the shells super quick, then truth testing and Skep. Alright. Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay. First on the shells, consider no RBIs, which means there's no risk of us reading any of the shells, means you can't cover theory and the tuner truth testing. Extend the role of the ballots to vote for the debater who proves the truth or falsity of the resolution. We're going for constitutionalism. Only my role of the ballot is considered to debate the resolution and run the ballot every turn of registration and any state handbook that explicitly that means it's an explicit point of clash, and the ballot asks you to either vote after or neg based on the resolution. 5 dictionaries to find affirmative to prove true and negate means to prove false, and the concede these definitions. Insofar as I'm winning constitutionalism means we outweigh on jurisdiction. Truth testing is a rule, just like speech times and declaring whenever she's judged can't vote on anything else since they can't change the rules inside the debate. Truth testing is a considered rule which outweighs any of the warrants on comparative rules. Because first, the words affirm and negate means to prove true and false means it's outside the judge's jurisdiction. Vote on anything else, even if your role of the ballot is more pragmatic, has more pragmatic implications. As an inquiry interchange the rules of the activity in the middle of the round, which means we outweigh topic education. Second is our role of ballot controls internally to your role of ballot. The rules are the basis for, particularly in prep, which means even if you win your model debate with the B theoretically before allows internally for the fact we operate under the assumption of the truth testing. The truth testing coverage was super light in the 1 year. All they said was topic education, but first they can see that topic education is not unique coming out the 1 and C. You can still have topic education. You can still prove the truth or falsity of the resolution through a useful framework and a plan for a dissab, which means that they conceded that topic education is not unique. Second is on the jurisdiction issue. They say the judges vote on non-TDAPs all the time, but it's not gap just because it's not fallacy. Just because judges vote on non-TDAPs doesn't mean they ought to do that, and that means you ought to use truth testing in the first place. On the third point is that we don't just find absurd nibs. They conceded coming out the 1 and C in the end that we don't have logic or linguistical operators because we said that odd is a moral obligation coming out the 1 and C, which means it doesn't justify absurd nibs. Even so, nibs are good because a large portion of literature requires the reading of the argument as a nib. Skep determines the motives and theories of epistemology, etc., which means your interpretation excludes massive amounts of literature because philologication outweighs the considered unique to LD because the word ought. The only high schoolers that have any idea what philosophy is only know because of LDN's primary goal activity could go to peer for policy if you want some standard education, and also Skep is a unique negative generic, especially on a topic when there's half about every state and want and type of reduction or a combination of both proven by this specifically on the Skepancy. Hold them to the standard of proving the resolution is absolute justified truth. A is arbitrariness. Statements can't be 99% true. As truth is a binary question rather than scalar. That means voting F absolute justification. We have intellectual guesswork, and the rationale behind the F is arbitrary, so it can't prove normative obligations. Your ethic needs to prove and satisfy all meta-ethical properties like motivation, culpability, etc. It's not that you prove one and win, but a checklist where anyone means your ethic fails is it cannot fulfill at least one key principle. If your ethic is motivational but can't hold agents responsible, it's still insufficient to obligate action. B is resolvability. Collapses the judgment to determine whether the F is true or good enough to defeat the likelihood of Skep. That always takes around either debater's hands, which means you reject all implications like the F intuitively good, which also intrinsically answers Pascal's wager. We'll get to the argument later. C is logic. In order to prove any truth at all, you need a mechanism like a framework that proves truth. If Skep is true, your framework is false, and so there's no mechanism by which to determine resolution truth. Also takes that out of respect because there's no reason why governments use useful in the first place. The DEC outcomes. The only way to ensure our actions produce the correct outcomes is to follow truth. Otherwise, you fail to understand how the world works and produces injustice faster, which turns case in the first place in the first place as well. Which means that obviously we need to follow truth in the first place. Denying truth in any instance means that we would reject. It means that we would ensure actions produce the correct outcomes. We should always follow truth because preventing truth creation is the worst form of injustice in the first place. Preventing truth creation led to things, for example, like the Holocaust, etc., which means that obviously we have to, insofar as we prove skepticism true, means that you obviously have to adhere towards truth. And also, but negative skepticism true because in order to win the round, the half must prove there exists an absolute practical obligation through the affirmative. The negative must prove no such obligation exists. On the permissivity of affirms page 1 is that the only argument they made on permissivity affirms is that statements are more often true than false, and statements are more often true than false, and that you believe them when you say their name is honest, but that's a justification for presumption, not permissibility. They can see the trichotomy triple, which means there's a trichotomy between prohibition, obligation, permissivity, and proving what disproves the other two. For example, if I prove permissibility is not that there's obviously not an obligation or prohibition to do it, and if I prove an obligation, the action is not merely permissible, and it's obviously you should do it in the first place, which means that they have to prove an active obligation to do that in the first place, which means that conceded permissibility firms. Insofar as we win one warrant and why skepticism is true means you automatically negate in this round. Extend the Baker evidence, which goes completely conceded coming out the 1 and C. Moral obligations are always internally contradictory. Justice requires I act immediately. For every second you do not take an action, you actively allow injustice to occur. However, this is impossible since A, in order to ensure you make the correct moral decision, you must know everything about the situation, which is impossible, and B, even if it were possible, the time you take to deliberate prevents you from taking action immediately, allowing justice to occur. There are several implications. First, this turns the absence of your engagement in the project of philosophical deliberation allows infinite injustice occurs. You attempt to find the correct decision. Second, it makes every obligation impossible to fulfill correctly, since every act of preventing injustice requires some form of injustice itself. Third, violence is inevitable, which makes your representation of a perfect solution a form of cruel optimism, which just replicates even more violence in Turner's case. Also conceded the no act mission distinction, which specifically links to proves this argument super true because there's infinite obligations that you can always be held responsible for, but these moral obligations are always internally contradictory, which means that's only the first place you can vote on skepticism. Second is you extend the non-arbitrariness warrants. Ethics cannot rely on arbitrary justifications because it results in infinite contradictions. I.e., the sun is yellow, therefore negate would be a legitimate argument which prevents any ability for contestation justifying any action. The Tucker proves that our beliefs and ethics are based on what is evolutionarily valuable to us. The reason ethics appears true and motivational is because that logic is survivably beneficial, like how murder would prevent population growth in early development, which means moral truths are epistemic, suspect, and unjustified. Their argument against this makes absolutely no sense. They say that evolution you can describe what an odd is in the first place, but that relies on you proving that evolutionary is morally valuable. But as we've proven that's merely survivably valuable in the first place. Their second argument. Did they even have a second argument? Yeah, they just said there's no. It's not obvious you can derive an offer from experiences, but we said that these experiences are not actually shaping moral truth, but they shape survival. They shape what is actually best for surviving through time, which means it doesn't matter. The Pascal's wager argument doesn't matter because first, if we prove that we're running truth testing, which means you don't view the arguments on a sliding scale, like if we prove that skepticism is true, it means there's no risk you do the AF because there's no obligation to do it. Second, they haven't won a reason why acting like without skepticism is good in the first place, which means there's no impact to the argument. Third is we've proven that moral obligations are functionally impossible, and it's better to follow truth because ignoring truth would justify the worst forms of oppression in the first place. It's a super easy ballot because they conceded consistency on truth testing. Truth testing should frame Skep. Insofar as we prove skepticism is true, means that you can't vote on any obligations coming out of the 1AC. You automatically negate on Skep impermissibility.
Okay, I have 151. That's what about. Okay. The order is just Skep. Or I guess like truth testing quickly and Skep.
Okay.
Is everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Truth testing is not a winning ballot. They said that we can win. They said that we can win the AF under Utah, which means that they do get skepticism, but we'll just win the skepticism is false because they explicitly said that we get the AF because we won the under utilitarianism. The AF solves the nuclear war, which outweighs the NC proper. You should frame the round through Pascal's wager. They've dropped the one-year argument that the conclusion of their arguments, which would mean that genocide, rape, etc., is justifiable because we cannot condemn those actions, which makes the world unsafe. It means that there is a massive DA to adopting skepticism, which means that Pascal's wager frames your ballot because even if they're ahead on the tech debate of skepticism, all of their arguments just boil down to reasons why calculations might be hard, not impossible. If they are right about skepticism. There is no reason it is bad to act as if morality is still possible, but if they're wrong, there is a massive DA to acting as if it isn't, because that would justify atrocities, which answers all of their absolute certainty arguments, because the frame for your ballot should not be, has the app 100% risk of util, but just even if there's a 0.1% risk of util, there's a massive reason why you should vote app under that. The first argument was arbitrariness, because absolute certainty is key. This is too high of a burden. Absolute certainty is impossible to prove and answered by the thesis of our Pascal's wager argument, because there's no impact to uncertainty about truth. Even if you are not 100% sure that util is true, that does not matter, because the benefit to acting as if utilitarianism is true maximally outweighs the DA to acting as if it's not. The next argument about how util can't hold people responsible is wrong. Util does hold people responsible. Drop the response to the culpability argument, which is that util means that you're culpable for the consequences of your actions. I.e., if I shoot someone, I'm responsible because that causes pain. They say that reject Pascal's wager under truth testing. This is just not an argument, because even under truth testing, they require winning that the statement of the resolution is false. But the question of what is false and true, and what the boundary should be for determining that, is still up to debate. The logic argument, there's no impact to logic. They have dropped multiple reasons as to why it's better to act as if skepticism is false, because else we cannot condemn genocide. And we'll explicitly concede the two in our arguments that, quote, we need to produce correct outcomes. This flows af. Skepticism says that there are no correct outcomes because nothing is ethically justifiable, which is that the Nazis example flows af, because only the af can condemn the Holocaust, but the negative would mean that you cannot ethically say the Holocaust was bad or that the Holocaust was an incorrect action, because skepticism would say that you can never have moral obligations in the first place, which means we will concede all the weighing about why it's important to have framers that can apply to the real world and that can be good to prevent things like genocide, which means that all of their examples flow af, and independently of the rest of the skepticism debate, you still vote af. Now, on the top, the start with the Baker justice argument about how we need to know everything. They have dropped the argument that there are not infinite consequences. You are only culpable for the consequences of your direct actions, which is why their argument about how the act-omission distinction means infinite consequences is just false, because you're only culpable for what you can do. I cannot save dying people in China, so I'm not responsible to prevent that, but I know that I can pick up my water bottle, so I might be culpable for the consequences of that. Independently, this just proves that consequences are hard and not impossible, which is a dropped argument above, because empirically proven through things like predictions that the government can make policies based on the consequences of it. I know that if I shoot a gun, it'll harm someone, which is a dropped example, and the negative is just not giving enough examples. They say the justice argument means that justice is impossible. This is just like a cruel optimism argument in disguise. They're just saying that the app cannot resolve all violence. That is not the burden of the app, because in limited instances, utilitarianism can still distinguish between a just action and an unjust action based on its consequences, which means that this does not apply to utilitarianism specifically, because even if justice itself might be contradictory, util is not concerned with justice. It's just concerned with ethical questions about consequences, which means that resolving aggregation through things like body counts, etc., which is the argument solves.
Good debate.
Good debate.
Do you know when the next round is? Or comes out?
No, not sure. Yeah. Oh, the pairing's out.
Oh. Well.
Okay, I'm in. So I voted AF. I think the NAG is spending quite a bit of time on this truth testing debate in the 2NR, which I don't see how this ends up being relevant for you because truth testing doesn't exclude any of this AF offense. Maybe comparative worlds excludes the NAG offense, but that's unclear. I think that the AF does end up winning, that the NAG has to meet a pretty high threshold for winning Skep due to this conceded Pascal's wager argument that if Skep is wrong, the consequences of not following moral actions are way worse than the consequences of following these actions if Skep is right. And I think the 2AR is doing a good job implicating this in terms of the atrocities like genocide, slavery, whatever that Skep could justify. Next warrants for Skep. There's this whole contradictions argument that you have to know everything about the situation to make a right decision. I think the app is answering this in both the 1AR and the 2AR, saying that the benefits to action outweighs. This is just a reason util is hard, doesn't mean it's impossible, and that people are only culpable for the direct actions. There's this arbitrariness argument about how ethics are based on arbitrary justifications because moral truths are epistemically inaccessible and unjustifiable. I think the app is in the 1AR and the 2AR, once again, explaining how high this burden is. I don't think the NAG is necessarily justifying the burden should be this high, and this doesn't let us condemn atrocities, which the 2NR also seems to think is important based on some quoted lines from the 2NR and the 2AR. And I think in terms of these 2NR framing arguments that truth/falsity is a binary question, I think there's still different risks of things being true or false, even if something can only be true or false in a vacuum, as the 2AR is pointing out, which kind of frames the way that I evaluate these checklist arguments, means that even if I maybe have a tiny bit amount of doubt that util might not be true or that it's hard to make moral judgments, that doesn't mean that I should auto-assign a ballot for Skep. I think the main way to improve this 2NR is maybe just choose one main warrant for Skep and explain it more in depth, and then weigh it against the AF's main warrants for Skep false, util being true. I think the 2NR is a little bit all over the place with extending multiple arguments, but not fully implicating a lot of that, which makes it difficult to pick out one winning argument that has a clear impact.
Mm-hmm. Do you think something that would have helped would be like implicating more on like why rejecting truth if we prove skepticism is true is like bad, which like turns the atrocities argument?
Yeah, I think that would have been helpful for sure.
Mm-hmm. So just like picking one more and weighing against everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think this whole like Skep genocide stuff I should focus more on that in cross-legs maybe? Like ask them how do we condemn the Holocaust or genocide if Skep is true, just to like make it clear that even they agree that Skep wouldn't be able to condemn those things.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, especially since I don't think you started off the cross-ex with time on theory. I don't think that's worth it because I don't think they would go for theory unless something went seriously wrong. And so, yeah, I think it's pretty clear based on this 1NC that Skep is going to be the 2NR, so I would focus more on cross-ex.
Okay, that's me.
Do you think the 1NC was fine, like the way it was constructed?
I mean, maybe this is just my personal bias against these silly theory arguments, but I would try to have more winning 2NR options. It seems like, based on this 1NC, that it's pretty clear that Skep is going to be the 2NR, and so I think you can waste more of the 1AR time with more threatening arguments. For example, even a T argument might be better than these theory arguments, or I think in terms of impact turns you can go for, I'm not sure Spark is the best impact turn. I don't know, maybe I'm partial to Wipeout or like other impact turns here. I think that if you do go for Spark, you probably need some better defense against nuclear, do you have, yeah, you do have nuclear wood doesn't cause extinction defense. I do think Spark is just a hard impact turn to win overall, so maybe I would just go for link turns on the case that could be better. I've seen that some people are reading, like, I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with policy arguments and whether that would be like a real 2NR for you, but I have been seeing that some people are reading kind of the pro-liptis ad as sort of a link turn to some of these case arguments on the Turkey app, and so I think maybe reading link turns instead could be more threatening than reading Spark, which kind of feels very backfiling, maybe like not that much of a threatening 2NR. In terms of other things you could put in this 1NC, yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure you have like other prep that you can choose here, but I would take out the theory.
Okay. Do you still speak, by the way?
Yeah, 29.6, 29.3.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good to me.
Yeah. Do you mind if I stay in this room to prep? I was like,
Yeah, go ahead. I'm leaving anyways.
Alright, I think this was your stand leg.
oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Oh yeah, wait, you can't tell the difference.